Hi everybody, my name is Mark Butler,
And I'm Amarindra Borntis.
and welcome back to the Motion Capture Practical Application Series. This week we're going to cover weight painting as a continuation of last week's episode. All right, so what is weight painting? Well, weight painting is the way that you define what bones influence what part of the geometry that you're going to use. The best way to think about this is that the human body moves the same amount of mass into a different volume depending on how one bone is rotating, right? So, for instance, if I stick my arm out here, you can see that my little skinny forearm has this kind of a volume, but it's the same amount of mass when it's put like this, okay? And as you can see now, I have a different volume, but the same amount of mass, all right? The computer doesn't understand that, right? It tries to say an even amount of distribution between the two. That's its natural default state. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually paint those weights, or how much one polygon is weighted to a particular bone. All right, so over here we've got the character who's playing the captain in the Gigadisc game, all set up here with his bones in place. Now, what I did is I went through and I actually positioned those bones where they should be throughout his body in relationship to his geometry. All right, so but I want to show you just kind of the basics, the two big tools that we use to do weight map. And the first one is called using the component editor. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all my joints, and then I'm going to select all my geometry, and I'm going to make sure I'm in animation mode, and I'm going to go up under skin, and I'm going to select smooth bind. All right, so what that does is it binds the geometry or the polygons to the underlying skeletal structure. So as you can see here, if I just move a arm a little bit, he is moving the arm, but you can see there's a lot of strange deformations going on there in the shoulder. And once again, that's because the computer doesn't know how the volume and the mass of the shoulder should react when the forearm moves. It's as simple as that. So we have to kind of tell it. Now, like I said, the first technique I'm going to show you is called component level editing. Now, this works really great on something like the head, where you need to select all the vertexes at once and make them follow the head joint. So like in this case, if I move the neck, it seems to work okay, but if I move the head, you can see that he really tears up pretty bad left and right, okay? So what we need to do is we need to fix that. So let's jump right back over into the bind pose. All right, now I'm going to select the geometry, and then I'm going to go into the component mode by pressing F8, and then I'm going to grab my lasso tool, and I'm going to go and try to define everything in the head, and I usually come back around kind of to the hairline, and I drag around there. So I get the ear, the lower jaw, and all that. Some of these things you might want to add or delete, but this is a good place to start, and then you can hand paint in any changes afterwards. Usually you need to still do some hand tweaks even after you do a component level change. All right, with those vertexes selected, I'm going to go to the general editors and pull down component editor. And as you can see, it's like a spreadsheet showing me all the bones that have an influence over those vertexes. All right, so I want to eliminate any influence from the left arm, left shoulder, neck, right arm, right shoulder, spine 1 and spine 2, and just leave the influence to be 100% on the head. So I'm going to select these like on a spreadsheet, and then I'm going to punch in a value of 0, which means no influence. So now you see only one bone, the head, is affecting all those vertexes at 100% value, or a value of 1. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close. Now, if I get out of component editor, component mode rather, and I bring up the head joint, now when I turn, the head is going to turn much more naturally, okay? So that works pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and then I'm going to pass it over to Rin to have her demonstrate how to do the actual weight painting.
Thanks, Mark. So Mark and I share all of our files here, so he was able to work on the component editing and I'm going to work on the actual weight painting part. So I'm going to work on the left knee, which like all of the other joints usually needs some manual weight painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the upper leg into an extreme position, and then I'm going to move the lower leg back into an extreme position as well, as if the character were in a run pose. But as you can see here already, the problem shows itself. So what Maya is doing here is it's trying to evenly distribute the weight between the two bones, but while that is a good place to start, that is not actually how the calf and the thigh would maintain their volume. So this is really easy to do with the Paint Skin Weights tool. All I have to do is select my geometry and then go up to the Skin menu and pull out the Paint Skin Weights tool. So what it's showing me here is a grayscale map indicating the amount of influence on the geometry from each bone. And white is going to be 100% influence and black is going to be 0% influence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix the calf first. So I'm going to go and select the lower leg bone and I'm going to begin to adjust the influence there. So I'm going to use Maya's Artisan tools and I'm going to adjust my brush size. And I'm going to set the value to 100%. Now I'm going to paint the value in on the back of the calf. And as you can see, it's making the calf thicker and pointing up into the thigh more. Sometimes when you're working with a full value of 1, you can get kind of some jagged edges and whatnot here. So I'm going to grab the smooth tool and go over that area just to make it a little smoother. So it still needs some work, but this is just an overview. So I'm going to save it and then I'll send it back over to you, Mark.
All right, thank you, Rand. Well, I tell you what, like I said, this is just a quick little overview, but you've seen two of the very powerful tools that are used for weight mapping. We've used the component editor to grab a tremendous amount of vertexes and force them to follow one bone, and then we've used the Maya's Artisan tools to paint in between the two values between the upper and lower leg where the knee joint comes through. You find that it's much easier to use that painting on joints like elbows, shoulders, and knees, and maybe ankles as well. So, well, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to take and finish up our weight mapping and then put them on our characters for next week's episode. So be sure to tune in for that. Once again, I'm Mark. Thanks again, Ren, and we'll catch you next week. Peace out.